So, whose job is it to make sure that every order is perfect in your DC? Is it the picker? Is it the packer? Is it the manager? Well, the answer is it's everyone. But how do you create that culture of accountability to make sure that everything is correct? In this edition of DC 101, we are exploring how to create and how to define accountability within your DC operations. This is DC 101.
So let me start with a story, actually. So oftentimes we see people try to implement new processes in their operation, and unfortunately, a high percentage of the time they fail pretty quickly. And I'll give you an example. We saw one just here recently where somebody wanted to change what their inbound flow looked like and the steps it took to actually receive product and get it available for some automation. And after 3 days, the process had completely fallen apart. Nobody was doing what had been asked of them. And ultimately, what it comes down to is that it's not just about having a process, but I have to have some level of audit to make sure that it's continuing. And then I have to provide some follow-up to it to be able to say, hey, you are or are not doing this. I need you to change your behavior ultimately. And without that what we call circle of accountability, a process is just a good idea. Right. It takes kind of all three of those components in order to go out and actually execute a new process. Well, it starts with I have to understand what the ask was. So I really have to have a well-defined step of here's what the new process looks like. The second piece then is that I have to make it somebody's responsibility to have some checkpoints along the way, that somebody goes out and makes sure that this step happened correctly or not. And then finally, I have to understand when those things aren't happening so that I can provide feedback to the employee then. But at the end of the day, it's all about the process got implemented and executed consistently from that day forward. Ultimately, it's minimizing the number of exceptions we see coming out of the process. Because if we're not seeing exceptions generated, it means that we're doing the process more often. It also is about whatever our projected productivity impact of that was. Are we actually achieving those productivity numbers? Right? And those are kind of the two tangible things that are the output of solid process. Usually the lack of accountability, ultimately. It's the lack of an audit or feedback to that process. We see all the time that people have a lot of great metrics they're following, but there's not a lot of follow-up always down to the employee level who's actually creating the exception or the issue that these things are happening, and we don't give them great guidance on what to go change. And that's the impact of a bad process ultimately.